Now let's look at Ontario, which has two laws, the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And they work roughly in the same way. So under the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, you have a right to ask certain public sector organizations in Ontario for information they hold. Anyone can make a request for information. There are no restrictions based on age or where you live. Big difference. From the previous example, the federal government is saying you need to be a Canadian citizen or resident or be physically present in Canada. Generally, that's the rule. Whereas in Ontario, they're saying, no, anyone can file a request. So whether you are here in Ottawa or in China or in Japan or the United States, technically, you could file a Freedom of Information request in Ontario. Here are some of the organizations in Ontario that are covered by those two laws. So the Ontario government and its ministries, most public agencies, boards, commissions, advisory bodies, school boards, colleges, universities, public hospitals, the police, municipalities, and some publicly funded organizations such as museums and libraries. There is a complete list at the end of this presentation. Some exemptions, exclusions, and restrictions. Cabinet records, same as with the federal government, are generally protected from disclosure. Court records, so you can gain access to court records in most instances by going to the courthouse, but you cannot file an ATIP or Freedom of Information request to get those. And be careful, if you're dealing with court records, there can be a publication ban. Records containing certain law enforcement information, records that could prejudice intergovernmental relations are also excluded. Personal information that could invade the privacy of an individual, certain records supplied in confidence by a third party, and most labor relations records. Those are all excluded from Freedom of Information requests. You can always ask, and they will likely tell you, no, can't do. Useful links to help you out with FIPPA and MFIPPA. So the two laws, Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. I do invite you, again, to read those. There is a full list of public sector organizations covered by Freedom of Information laws, and it's pretty great because it will lead you, if you click on this link, to an online database. And you can actually do a keyword search, and it will tell you whether the organization you are trying to get information from is covered by the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act or its municipal counterpart, and so that you know exactly your rights and how to file your request. So, pretty useful tool. Then there is a list of Freedom of Information and Privacy coordinators, again, same as with the federal government, and a very useful web page, how to make a Freedom of Information request, which gives you a recipe in terms of, to follow step by step so that you can file your request with a provincial or municipal body or provincially or municipally regulated body in Ontario.